Good evening, everybody. I'm Kath Lloyd. It is Wednesday evening and it's Let's Talk. And I thought the perfect subject matter for this week would be Mental Health Week. And, you know, this really struck me because I went to a meeting on Monday and there was a guest speaker there and I didn't know what they were going to be talking about. And actually this is what they were talking about, but, in a little bit of... not as much depth as I'm going into today, but I thought I really need to speak about this tonight because I talk about anxiety and stress and how we should manage ourselves. But tonight I want to talk a bit about how we can support other people. So, Mental Health Week. Now, the facts are amazing when you start reading about them. We know that anxiety and stress levels are actually going up. But, tonight I want to talk a little bit about how we can perhaps support other people through self-harm, to try and reduce the risk of suicide. And I've got a few little statistics here that I just want to read out to you, so forgive me from reading off the sheet. So, and these are things that I didn't realise until I started, reading up about it. So suicide is the single biggest killer for under 35-year-olds. 1 in 5 of those people will have self-harmed. So in 2017, 6,213 suicides in the UK and the Republic of Ireland. And, in the UK, men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. And for men again, the most likely age of suicide is between 45 and 49. Thankfully, those statistics have those suicide rates have decreased over the last 30 years. So that is really, really good to hear. But still, that is a lot of people who are feeling so desperate that they just don't know what to do any longer. And the only way out for them is to end their life. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to support other people as best that we can and hopefully reduce that risk? We can't if somebody is really determined to end their life, then they will do anyway. But if we can just help reduce that a little bit, then that would be absolutely fantastic. And there are really good support networks out there, and of course the one that really comes to mind is Samaritans. And and it's charities like this that are absolutely fabulous, and it gives people an opportunity who feel they don't have anybody to talk to, somewhere that they can go to and get the support they need. And a lot of the time it is that they're just wanting somebody to listen to them. But what are the signs? The majority of us are amongst a lot of people all of the time. We're work colleagues, socially, family, our own, closest and dearest people to us. And there are, more often than not, there are signs. So it's about, looking, if you're concerned about somebody, it's about, just recognising some different signs in somebody. So it might be lack of energy, it might be tearfulness, it might be unusual or uncharacteristic behaviour, lack of interest in their own self-care. It might be to do with, not taking interest in the things that they used to enjoy, being accident prone, being withdrawn. And a lot of these things can come from things that are going on in people's lives, such as illness, such as a big change in their life, perhaps, you know, a painful physical illness, perhaps, you know, disability, a separation from somebody very close to you, bereavement, and also, you know, there can be a history, you know, running through families, history of self-harm, history of attempted suicide, history of suicide and depression in you know, the other parts of their family. And you know, a lot of the time when we're around, you know, people who are perhaps on the radar of feeling extreme destructive emotions, sometimes this information doesn't come up because they don't want to talk about it, because if they talk about it, that people might guess or work out that they might be feeling like that as well. But you know, if we connect with people well, there will be some little signs there that you can connect to, and maybe find a way that you can support that person. And it can be very, very difficult to start conversations off like this, because quite often, you know, that person might be quite defensive. Well, what do you care? What do you know about it? You haven't got a clue. Because when people are feeling like this, you know, they're not going to, you know, they're going to be struggling to be receptive unless they have made that contact first of all, unless they have come to you and said, please will you listen to me, I need some help. And so yes, it can be quite off-putting when you know that that person is struggling, but they are putting barriers up in front of you, making it very difficult to be able to support them. You know, but it's about, it might be that they're not in the right state of mind to want to start opening up, but it might be that you have to persist a little bit. It's very easy to go, oh well, they don't want my help, or they think I'm use, you know, they think it's going to be no use. But sometimes we do have to press on and you know, have a little break from, you know, trying to connect with them about it. But, you know, go back to it, ask them open questions, follow up their answer with another question, so that you can keep the flow of the conversation going. And, you know, when they pause, you don't let them, that they are pausing because that is their thinking time. They're thinking about what they're going to say next, perhaps thinking about how they want to phrase it, trying to find the right words to explain how they're feeling. So don't feel that, you know, when they pause that you've got to jump in with something. And also don't put pressure on yourself, you know, to have the answers, because you might not have the answers. But more often than not, most people who are struggling and do want to talk about how they're feeling, that is all they want to do. They want to talk about it, because quite often just talking about it, you can, you know, you can work out what you've got to do about it. And also the talking is very important because it's about downloading. Okay, so this is very much about the 80-20 rule. Okay, 80% of the time you're listening to that person, 20% of the time you're talking. So it's giving them the airtime. And put down what you're doing. You know, put your phone down. Perhaps even say, I'm just going to turn my phone off, or I'm going to put it on silent. And how many people actually do that these days? You know, you're at the shops paying for something and you're on the phone or you're texting, and I've done it as well, and I know I shouldn't do it. But, you know, and we're told when we go into conferences and we go to the cinema and concerts that, you know, put your phone on silent or turn it off. But if you say to that person, let me turn my phone off so we won't be interrupted, that is a sure signal to them that you are ready to talk. But don't ask them a question about how they're feeling and then start umming and ahhing and looking round and looking at your watch and this, that and the other, because that will put them off. Also, another very good tip is to talk back to them what they've told you. Okay, that will serve two purposes. That will check your understanding of what they're saying. Okay, because if you repeat it back to them incorrectly, they will pick up on it and they will correct you. But also, talking back what they are saying will help them hear what they are actually saying. Okay, and that's really, really important, because, you know, they might actually twig that, oh my God, did I really say that? Is that how I'm really feeling? Okay, and it might create a positive trigger in the right direction for pulling themselves up out the other end. Okay, that it will, you know, help them start taking some action. Okay, also other things that you can do is perhaps take them, you know, you've got to take them somewhere where, you know, they can think, where they can relax, you know, where you're not going to be interrupted by a lot of people that they may know, or distractions, because that will interrupt the flow. It'll interrupt the flow of their thought process, and it'll make them very disconnected, and they won't be able to, they won't feel as if they can talk properly to you, you know, especially when you are there and you are wanting to help them. Another thing to do as well that is very, very good is, you know, when you want to start a conversation off, is positive I messages. Okay, so I have noticed, I can see, I'm concerned about you. Okay, rather than you're this or you're that or you're the other. So you're expressing to them how you're feeling about them and their situation, taking the pressure a little bit off them. Okay, so that they are going to be more willing to talk to you and open up. Okay, if sometimes we say things that we don't mean to say, and that doesn't make us a bad person. All right, it might, when you've said it, you might think, oh my God, what did I say that for? That was a terrible thing today. It was thing to say. It was unthoughtful. It was perhaps, you know, that perhaps they took it the wrong way. And if you feel that you've made a mistake, then just very, very simply apologise for your mistake. You know, something like, I didn't mean to say that, I'm sorry, that must have come over to you as rude or impolite or disrespectful, and then go on to explain what you meant to say. All right, so it's about developing a very open conversation with them, because when you're supporting somebody with, you know, very complex issues that they have been building up over a long, long time, you know, they can be very confused about what they're saying, which might actually confuse you. And so, you know, this openness of conversation is very, very important to build trust and build respect between you both. It might be that it gets to the stage where you feel that you can't support them adequately and you want to refer them on to somebody else. And again, this has to be a very open conversation with them, and say to them that, you know, that you're struggling, you realise that it's really, really hard for them, and that you can see that they are really, really struggling. and you feel that you haven't got the right expertise to be able to support them any further, and encourage them and help them to go and seek support. Because actually, you know, when people are struggling like this, if they're not looking after themselves, you know, they are going to need a lot of extra support. And it might be that they need not only referring on to somebody else or you encouraging them to seek extra support, but they might need practical support as well. If they haven't been caring for themselves properly, the home might be a right mess. It might, you know, they might not have cleaned for months on end. They might not have checked the fridge and chucked out of date, you know, food. And so this is where a different sort of support could be given to them as well. And just as important, because the last thing that you want, you know, somebody that you care about is to fall ill physically as well as mentally. But it's very, very important as well is don't make promises. Okay. The only promise I suggest that you can make is when you're going to, you know, if you say to them, I'm going to call you at 7 o'clock tomorrow, you do call them at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Okay. You put it in your diary, you put it on your alarm on your phone, you know, to remind you. You know, we have busy lives and it's easy to forget. But if you've said to that person that you are going to phone them at 7 o'clock tomorrow, you need to commit to that, okay, and put into action something that will remind you that, okay, it's 5 to 7. I need to get myself organised. I need to get myself in the right state of mind so I can ring them up or go round to their house and be able to support them. Okay. But other than that, you know, a promise that wouldn't be useful, that might be difficult to commit, is to say, I'm going to ring you at 7 o'clock every night for the next 6 months. Okay, that works for a little bit, but may not work long term. Okay. And sometimes when we are helping people a lot like this, it can be very easy to take the burden of their issues on. And this is where it's very important to understand empathy. It's about helping them, listening to them, supporting them, but being able to take a break once you move away and to separate yourself from their problems. Okay, it's not you being uncaring, it's not you being selfish, it's you protecting yourself so that you can be in a better place to support them longer term, and especially the next time you go and speak to them. But if you are feeling as if you are struggling with the burden of their feelings, as a supporter, as a carer for that person, you do need to go and get support for yourself. Find somebody that you can go and speak to. Make sure that you go out and socialise with your friends, do the things that you enjoy doing to keep yourself as you. Okay? So, what time is it? It's nearly 8:20. Now, what I just want to show you, I know this is going to be a little bit backwards on this phone, but I will attach a picture to the bottom of this message. Now, I picked up a little leaflet today, a Samaritan's leaflet today. And on the back of that leaflet, I think you might be able to see here. Okay. And I know it's backwards, I'm sorry. It is Samaritan's Listening Tips. And it is on their website as well, actually. And it's called Shush, S-H-U-S-H. Okay. So 1, show that you care. Focus on that person. Make eye contact. Put away your phone or whatever else you're doing. 2, have patience. it may take time for that person to be able to start speaking to you, to build the trust, to be able to gather their thoughts so that they can talk coherently about how they're feeling and what they're thinking. 3, use open questions and follow it up with a question. Or, tell me more about how you're feeling. 4, say it back to them. And 5, this is a very, very good one. Have courage. So, like I said earlier, don't be put off by the negative response that you might get from them the first time. Keep going, press on, because more often than not, they will start to chat with you and open up to you. So that is really, really important. Now, another great thing that's happening is, and I hadn't heard of this before, so they might have been doing this for quite a while, I don't know, but it's very much like the Macmillan's fundraising day that they have. Now this one, and again I've got a picture of it, so I'll put it up for you on the underneath here, and again it is on their website. And it's a Brew Monday. Then this is taking place on Monday the 25th of January. So very similar to Macmillan's. Get, advertise it, get people together, have a get together, have a chat, have a brew, raise some money, whichever way that you can do that, whether it's a cake sale or hand massage or eyebrow tinting, or I don't know, something like that. And raise money for Samaritans, because, with statistics like I talked about at the beginning, it is very, very frightening. And I don't know anybody personally who has taken their life, but, you don't know what's going through other people's minds. We can only guess what other people are thinking. And I can only imagine that if it was somebody I knew and I didn't take that time when perhaps I could have done, how guilty I would have felt and how irresponsible my actions would have been. So, be aware. This is what Mental Health Awareness Week and Month is all about. Take some time. Try and help somebody else who is in need, and support others. But don't forget as well to live your life, to enjoy your happiness. Make sure you've got a great smile because your smile will spread and give joy to other people. So, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'll speak to you next Wednesday, same time, 8 o'clock, here live on Facebook. So have a great week, have a lovely evening, and bye for now.